here's the thing. For everybody listening, don't make the same mistake the Bengals just did in any facet of your life.
People are going to get hurt. It's the hockey season.
What about the Jared Cook play on the sideline?
I was very tempted to just put defense.
I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
Come on, Austin and I've been saying this ever since Joe Burrow got injured.
I don't really think the Dodgers are going to make the World Series this year. I feel like they'll make it to the NLCS.
The Fernando Tatis extension, because that really surprised me.
Like you said, Ovechkin, he's getting older. He hasn't been playing as well as I imagined. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but he hasn't started off this season as hot as I would hope.
Hi, I'm Jeff Allen, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week, titled What It Means to Draft the Right QB. We're going to discuss this, or what it means to get the right QB. Austin, I'm joined by Austin, the flag football enthusiast.
I don't play flag football as much as I used to, but flag football is a fun sport. But even in there, it's important to get the right QB, draft the right QB. So the question is the importance of drafting the right QB. What is the importance? How important is it? But first, I think we should define what is the right QB. So what does it mean to have the right QB for you?
To me, the right QB is someone. I'll go just in general. Like, I won't go like superstar QB. Just the right QB. He doesn't negatively affect my team.
Well, wouldn't that include a lot? Like, did Cooper Rush negatively affect the Cowboys last year? I would argue no.
He would. That's why I don't. That's my broader one. But to me, the right QB is a guy that can make plays when they matter. But to me, that really limits them. Limits the amount of QBs. Because, like, I don't view only like the right QBs. There are probably only 5 in the NFL.
No, I'd argue there's more.
Like here,
The right QB, in my opinion, because I can see you're a little bit struggling with it,
yeah,
is someone that you can win because of, not in spite of.
ooh, that's a good definition. I like that.
So guys that throw the ball away consistently, for example, Dak last year, sometimes the Cowboys won in spite of Dak. Like the Titans game. The Titans game is a great example. The Cowboys did not win because of Dak. They won in spite of him. And even sometimes there's games where Patrick Mahomes plays bad and the Chiefs win in spite of him. But I mean, large majority of the time, you win because of them, not in spite of them. And that's the right QB, because that you're going to win because of them in the playoffs and all that. And now there needs to be some playoff success, but those are the ones that I'm going to say. And does that help you get your definition a little bit narrowed?
Yes, that does help. Yeah, I like your definition. Not in spite of. Yeah, so I might just say with your definition, because like my thing with quarterbacks is like I'm harsh on the Kirk Cousins and Dak and Jared Goffs, because like you could win a Super Bowl with them, but to me it's just a lot harder.
You could
with
win a
them.
Super Bowl with almost any QB. In the 2000 Ravens really illustrate that in the best sense, because Trent Dilfer was not great. There was a span of time where they did not throw a passing touchdown for like 7 games and went 7-0. So their defense was a big part of the reason why they won. And I mean, look at Peyton Manning in 2015. I understand that his intelligence definitely helped him through a lot of that harsh season, and he was hurt, and Brock Osweiler played. But he was not the reason, and a lot of times they were winning in spite of him. So I think it's very important to say that you can win without the right QB. But the right QB is one that you win because of, not in spite of.
Yeah, and to me, if I want to, the right QB to me is when I don't have to have a perfect roster for them. Like, to me, you didn't need a perfect roster with Tom Brady. Like, it helped when he had a perfect roster, but When
And I think we need to differ between winning a Super Bowl because that is extremely difficult.
okay,
So I would argue Rodgers is a part of the right QB because even though he wins games because of him, because he throws 4 touchdowns and no picks, because he makes incredible throws, but it doesn't always result in a Super Bowl. Stuff has to go right. Brady obviously needed a lot less to win, but I would still argue a guy like Rodgers. And if you want to go a little bit into a list who are the right QBs, you said there was about 5. I probably could go deeper than that, but I'd have to think. And a really big part of mine is I have to. Eventually, this question has to be answered by you or by me. What the difference is between Kirk Cousins and Josh Allen. And I'm not talking about skill. I'm talking about their effect on winning football. Just purely their effect on winning football.
do you want to choose? Are you choosing Josh Allen for a reason?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm gonna say there's not much difference right now.
I would have to agree. It just affects on winning games. There were times where Josh Allen was just throwing the ball away, where he's not clutch against a completely befuddled, injury-prone Dolphins team. They barely won with Skylar Thompson as their starting QB, and the wide receivers weren't even helping him, Skylar, in that sense. But Josh Allen was not playing well in that game, and then against the Bengals, he played poorly. He would not be in that category. I know I've always been very harsh on Josh Allen, and I'm not a Josh Allen. Look, I hope he does well. I'm not going to say I'm not a fan of his or something like that, but I don't think he's as good as people say he is. I don't think he's in the same tier as a guy like Burrow, Mahomes, Rodgers, or a lot of those other elite QBs. If you were asking me, hey, would you rather have Justin Herbert today or Josh Allen? I would take Herbert over Josh Allen.
That's
today.
a good. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add before?
Not this second. If you have something you want to say.
Well, yeah, I think Josh Allen, to me, like I was always high on Josh Allen, but after this season, the playoff success, to me, is on the borderline of elite, of joining that area of quarterbacks, like of leaving the elite quarterbacks, in my opinion. Like, because I don't think he's good as Joe Burrow, and I think, yeah, he's entering the zone of like Kirk Cousins, but not like. I would still take Allen with
He's in your
like this.
I understand that you take him over, but he's in that tier. He's in the Cousins tier.
He's entering that tier. He's on the threshold.
Look, and I know you said Stafford's elite, but Stafford throws the ball away too many times. I understand you can win a Super Bowl with Stafford, but you needed one of the best left tackles of all time, and one of the best cornerbacks of all time, and the best D tackle of all time, and one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time, and Odell as well. Like, you needed almost everything to go perfect. Like, let's not lie. Stafford is not in the elite tier, in my opinion, but he's still a really good starter. And but he did throw them out of games. Sometimes they won in spite of him. He's not, in that sense, the right QB. And I wouldn't say Kirk Cousins is either, because sometimes you're not going to win a game because of him. I don't think Kirk Cousins throws you out of games. I don't think you ever win in spite of him as much as some people would like to say. But there's two sides to that. You either win in spite of them, but you also have to win because of them. And rarely was a Vikings win because of Kirk Cousins. So he does not meet both of those thresholds.
Yeah. The right QB is, if I was going to choose a quarterback that I can be competitive with and do well in the playoffs with.
I don't think you always need great playoff success. At least because it's not always on them. Again, with the Chargers, great coaching was not there. Healthy players were not there because his entire offensive line got hurt. Defensive guys were hurt. He had just bad performances. And I would put Justin Herbert in that right QB category. Because when everyone's still hurt and you only have basically Eckler and Herbert on offense, that is it. Not no offensive linemen that are starters, no starting wide receivers. You have Eckler and Herbert, and you still win games. That is extremely impressive.
Yeah, I do agree. He's on. He's what I think of. Well, he's not the guy I think of, but like I can understand why you have him. To me, like he's in the right QB right now, but depending on how this season goes, I could see how he falls out, if that makes sense.
But it would have to be something that he does wrong, not the Chargers. Just because the Chargers
Yeah.
do bad is not it's not totally on him. Because I would argue coaching has been a major problem,
That's true.
and it's hard
Yeah,
to
I'm.
coaching.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, right QB. Someone who can. Yeah, I know I'm copying your definition, but I'll edit it to where someone that can positively impact my team more than negatively. And like almost like I don't want him to ever negatively impact my team, but there will be moments like Patrick Mahomes has negatively affected the Chiefs.
Every player has
Yeah.
at some point been a negative during a game. That's just how sports works. And it's more about the, like I said, 90% of the time you're winning because of them, not in spite of them. That's really how it has to be. Now, let's talk about the importance of drafting the right QB. How important is it? We see teams winning without the right QB. Where do you place that? Do you place that above? Is that your top priority? If you're starting a team from scratch, new team like the Texans did in 2000 or 2000, I think.
I think
Yeah,
it was 2000. Yeah, I think you're
2000.
right.
When you're starting a whole new team, is that your first thing, getting the right QB, or are you more of in the effect of let me build an offensive line and a defense so that in a couple of years I can draft the right QB and he'll have a good place to start?
Okay. Can I take into account like financial compensation for the right QB, or do you just want me to say it in general?
Explain what you mean. Are you saying that you would
So-
trade the draft pick and just
No,
not be getting
so
one?
I place a lot of importance on drafting the right QB and getting it right, but having a competitive team that I can immediately slot him into, so then I don't have to pay him the quarterback money that quarterbacks get right now, till I've won a Super Bowl.
So you would not take the right QB.
Not
Immediately.
first, not immediately.
Then what's your first priority?
My first priority would be like trenches, defensive playmakers. Just because when I get to that second contract, I feel I can pay them, but it's not taking up an incredible amount of. Like, if I want a Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa, like to me, when I pay them, I'm not paying them what I'm paying a quarterback, if that makes sense. Like Patrick Mahomes' contract and like the contracts before, like $40-50 million a year.
The Dak contract.
Yeah, like the Cowboys are paying a lot to Dak, and that takes away a lot of what they can spend. So like you can still do it. Like the Chiefs have been able to do it. Well, now the Chiefs are going to have to figure it out more. They're just going to spend more wisely. So I would want to just insert him. I would be a guy that trades picks to go get the number 1 pick or number 2 pick, where I can draft the quarterback that I think is the right QB.
But you're saying that if you're like the Texans of 2000, you'd wait until 2003 to do that?
Yeah. Like I would probably do what the Niners do. Like Niners did. They were competitive and they built a great team, and then they traded a bunch of future capital for the number 3 pick in the draft, but we just haven't seen if what they thought was the right QB worked out. Or I would hope, like it would stink, but I would kind of hope for like a Colts situation with Andrew Luck. Like you were really competitive with Peyton Manning, then he got injured and you just stunk.
Right.
And then you luck into Andrew Luck.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. It would probably be higher on my list than yours, mainly because I want the quarterback to grow through a little bit of the pains because I feel like that makes him a better player in the future. Going through harsh times at the beginning, I think, can really build character in a QB that can become a great leader. And growing with young wide receiver prospects, I think, is very beneficial.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's just, to me, it would just stink because like it would depend on the quarterback. But like if I had a number one overall pick and there wasn't a quarterback I was in love with, I would just say, hey, I'm going to trade
But
back.
what if there was? Is my point. That's
I'd
kind of what I'm saying.
probably take him, but my dream scenario would be build a team, then draft a quarterback, but I may not have that time, so I may just have to go get.
This may not be the best comparison, but Peyton Manning was drafted first, and the Colts had nothing, basically. They were a horrible team. And they drafted him, and he obviously became something that was very good. I know he only won one Super Bowl with the Colts, but still, he was the right QB for them, and he kind of figured it out with the team. As the team got better, he got better. But they were horrible that first year, and he had one of the worst rookie seasons we've ever seen from a QB. But it is something that needs to be taken into consideration. Obviously, is like how can we prepare this guy for coming into the right situation? But you're not always going to get that chance because you don't get a Peyton Manning every year. You don't get the right QB every year, and knowing that can make teams wary, and they want to take the right guy. I think that's kind of the problem that a lot of teams are in right now, like the Panthers. The Panthers, I think, have a good team. I don't trust their O-line fully yet, and they don't have great wide receivers. But if we're talking for their defense, I think they have a great defense. So I think they can make some moves, and if they take Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or anyone else, QB-wise at the number one, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, anyone at number one, if because they believe it's the right guy, I'm totally fine with that move. But because you never know if you're going to miss out on the guy. And I do think there is a distinction between the right guy and the guy because there's not many guys out there. There's not many Mahomes or Burrow. Like there's a tier of quarterbacks currently that's really only filled up with two guys, and that's Burrow and Mahomes. Everyone else is probably in a tier below. We'll do our QB rankings as we always do this year, and there will be some adjustment, but in the tiers that we're going to get at, because we put them in tiers last time, but I will most likely have Mahomes and Burrow 1-2, which should not be a shock to anyone.
Yeah, no.
But they will be in a tier of their own because they not only can you win because of, but they are the reason why your team becomes so good. There are guys like Rodgers that are very good, the guy, but he doesn't make other players better. And that's the difference, I think, between the guy and the right guy. The right guy will get you.
Yeah, I really agree with what you're saying, and I think that's a great pick because, I think Rodgers is not in that tier, and then there's probably a tier below, and then there are guys like Stafford, Wilson, Dak, Kirk Cousins, maybe even Jared Goff that like I could win with, but it'd be tougher.
You can win with those guys, and the right guy, like I said, Herbert. But Herbert's not in the tier of making guys better. But that's something you have to grow into, and he's obviously still a young QB. And I mean that's still true with Allen, who's still young in his contract. But the problem is he's getting paid a lot of money soon. I don't know if it's when does that contract kick in? Do you know?
I think
is it this year?
When was he drafted? 2016? 2018? So that contract's probably going to kick in next year or this year. Because I know they probably didn't do a 5th year. It's
not next year. I mean, it's next year. 2024.
Yeah, because they probably did a 5th year option, and then you pay him.
Yeah. His base salary goes from $1 million this year. $1 million in 2023 to 23.5. Oh. But that's just because of his cap hits 47 though next year.
Okay.
His cap hit this year is going to be 18.
Makes
there's
sense.
base salary, signing bonus, roster bonus. He has like so many bonuses that add up to the 47. And this year he's not actually getting paid $1 million. He's getting paid around 18, like it says there. And there's some restructure and dead cap. But this is their last year with him on a cheaper deal because going from 18 to 47 is a large incline in cap hit.
Yeah. If we can talk about, like we talked about, like people that are close to the right guy, I'm going to take a situation where this team did not draft the right guy and you're seeing the repercussions of that. So let me just take you back to the 2021 NFL draft. Trevor Lawrence goes. That's not the team I'm talking about. I'm talking about the team with the number 2 overall pick, the New York Jets that drafted Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and he was never going to be a guy that's the guy because he is too self-centered to be affecting your team positively outside of QB play. So the best hope, honestly, for him was to be the right guy where he's just so talented. Like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers rarely makes his team better. Like the players actually better. He can make them look better because he makes great throws. But there's a difference between looking better and being better. Like Devontae Adams, I think he made him look better in his early years, but he became better on his own. I don't think that was Rodgers making Adams a better player because now Adams is away from Rodgers and is still that good. So it's more the effect of a guy that, for example, with Tom Brady, plays extremely well and then leaves and is not good anymore. And we've seen that with the Patriots so many times where a guy is good with the Patriots, gets the contract, and then it's horrible. And that's making a player better than they actually are, not making them look better. And Zach Wilson was never going to be that type of guy. And he now is showing that he's not even the right guy. He's not in the mindset to get better. And the Jets are obviously, I don't think it's confirmed to have gone through yet, but I'd be utterly shocked if the trade is not done by draft night between Rodgers and the Jets. Is it done yet? Or is it?
No, I don't think it's going to be done by draft night. It's going to be an August thing.
Why do you say that?
I just think the Packers want a lot for Aaron Rodgers, and they're kind of figuring out who is the leverage. And I would argue that
the Packers have the leverage. The Packers have the leverage.
The Packers have the leverage.
The reason why is that they don't have to trade him. It's a trade. They have him. Okay, you don't want to pay this? Okay.
He just retires, but then they're stuck with the dead cap. But like
no. But they're not gonna give away. In the past 3 years, he's won 2 MVPs. Like that cannot be forgotten. I know he did not have a great year this past season, but he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's still the right guy for any team that wants to pick him up. And the Packers know his value better than anyone else because they've had him for so long. And so I expect a lot in a trade like this. I expect multiple first rounders because you don't just give away a Hall of Famer that easy. And the Jets are more in the effect of we have to get him, where the Packers are like, we already have him. You have to get him from us. He's under contract. It's not like a free agency deal where we just have to come to an agreement to what in the middle. There is no middle here. You pay us what we think he is worth, or you just don't get him. And if Rodgers retires, Rodgers retires. The Packers get no incentive by him leaving for much worse than his value truly is.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's just a difficult thing, which is now the Jets didn't draft the right guy, and now here are the repercussions. They're trying to trade for a guy that will make their team better in Aaron Rodgers, but they have to give up more picks because they're already a good team now. And if Zach Wilson even was like was a average quarterback, they'd probably be in the playoffs last year.
Oh, 100%. And if Mike White had started the whole year and not gotten hurt, I bet they would have made it. Or if they started Joe Flacco the entire season, they probably would have made it.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a difficult thing when you don't draft the right guy. And that's the importance of drafting the right guy.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah. Is there anything else, or did you feel that's a pretty good ending?
I think that's a solid ending. I mean, we kind of showed both sides of who's the right QB, who's not the right QB, and how it affects the teams who get them or don't get them.
Yeah, maybe let's go to one more draft where it wasn't like the number one overall pick, but I'm gonna go to the 2016 NFL draft, which I believe is the Mahomes draft. No, that is 2017.
2017 is the Mahomes draft.
Okay. Because in 2017, even though he wasn't the number one overall pick, he was the 10th. And he may have not been the right guy coming out, but they traded a bunch of picks and they had a good QB in Alex Smith. Do you view Alex Smith as a right QB?
No, he was in that Kirk Cousins tier. Very solid. Could make Pro Bowls. But he wasn't most of the time the reason why you won. Like, he rarely was. You never won in spite of Alex Smith. Like, if Alex Smith played bad, you guys probably lost. But you rarely won because of Alex Smith.
I agree. He wasn't that right guy, and then the Chiefs made the decision to draft the right guy, and look at what happened to the Chiefs. They won 2 Super Bowls, been to 6 AFC Championship games in a row.
Yes.
Yeah, they just didn't win all of it. Yeah. But yeah. So there's I want to show the bet. We've talked about like who was close. We showed when it didn't work out, and of course, one of the answers is the guy is Mahomes. When you draft the right guy and how it elevates the franchise or changes the franchise.
Yeah, I do want to have a conversation about QBs who take a year off. Like the first year is not a year they start versus QBs who start off rip. I don't want to talk about that right now. We will talk about that in a future episode because we have to compare guys like Brady, like Rodgers, like Mahomes. Guys that did not start their first season and then started their second year or third year or fourth year with Rodgers, but they took time off in between. Does that make a QB better? Because, I mean, there's been a lot of great QBs who did not start their first season. Like I said, Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers. I mean, those are just to name a few. But then there's guys like Manning who did start their first year. So we'll have a video about that in the future.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good teaser. Let us know what you think, and thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.